All right, let's go. How are we doing? Apparently, you guys are cold down there in Florida as well. Where are we now? We're still 39 degrees with about a 20-mile-an-hour wind. My dad texted me this morning. He lives in Melbourne. He says it's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's like 44 degrees down there. So welcome to winter. Welcome to winter, Floridians. Winter before Thanksgiving. Yeah, that about says it all. So, how are we doing? Panthers, where did we wake up? Where did we wake up? Well, tied for seventh place, but also 2 points out of third place. So, okay, that's all we need to do. As long as if we can stay within 2 points of third place while Kachuk is out and all these injuries, I feel comfortable. Of course, you'd like it to be better. But as long as we're staying within a couple of games of being in a playoff spot, I feel like we'll be in good shape. Hurricanes are now 1-4 straight. And Boston versus Toronto tonight. Kind of a big game because, 4-point swing there. Toronto could end up 5 points behind Boston the end of the night if things go poorly for them. James, how you doing? Sabrango got his first points last night. Yeah, definitely very, very pleased with that pickup. As far as says Sabrango could be a Forsling 2.0 move for us so far. He looks amazing. I mean, I've said it before. I say it again. I understand what Ottawa felt they had to do. But I'm waiting to see the downside. Like, I'm waiting to see why was he not even good enough to be 7D on Ottawa? You know what I mean? James says, it sucks that Kulikov is out, but without that injury, we probably don't pick up Sabrango. Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, Steven, yeah, could we ever just get the empty netter? Right? So let's see. Colby says, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but there's a concerning pattern here. Since Florida's 3-0 start, they have beaten Swayman, Schmid, DeSmith, Forsberg, Lindholm, and lost against Vladar, Gibson, Allen, Lyon, and Jari. Dostal twice, Nascarovs. So you think they're struggling against starting goaltenders? I don't know. Let me open up this window. I warmed it up too much in here. Now I'm hot. I warmed it up too much. Now I'm hot. Now we need some fresh air. Okay. I mean, DeSmith's not great. Lindholm played well last night, though. He was moving pretty well. Why didn't the come on, I put the comments there. Come on, StreamYard, get it together. Yesterday you told me I wasn't streaming when I was. I thought Lindholm played pretty well, to be honest. James says, Marchand doesn't seem to have a problem scoring against them, but I see your point. So, I mean, when we beat Swayman, I'm not sure how he was playing. I mean, we have had our problems scoring for sure, but to me, it's just the same problems we were having last year with shot placement. You know, they seem to have figured out that they're going to need to have some dirty goals, you know what I mean? Deflections, and all of a sudden, the defense woke up and realized that they're going to have to contribute to the offense for sure. Yeah, it's good. It's good to see Reinhardt that way because you can't just depend on Marchand, right? Fi says we struggled against Vladar and Lyon. Well, everybody's struggling against Vladar right now. Colby says Panthers only scored 13 goals against those 8 goaltenders that they lost to. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I feel like I feel like it's not enough games to like. I just feel like it's shot placement. You know, we've made some of the bad goalies look pretty good too. You know, it's not like the games we won. I mean, we had the one game, but it's not like the games that we've won. We're not like scoring a ton no matter who it is. You know what I mean? You know, beating the Kings 5-2 was probably one of our biggest wins. Yeah, Forsberg wasn't good, that's for sure. But I just kind of feel like it's shot placement. When you got Verhaeghe, is Verhaeghe even 5% anymore? You know what I mean? Verhaeghe entered the game at 5.3, and he is now at 5.1. So pretty soon he'll be under 5% in the shot column, shot percentage. Yeah, Vasi's been playing better. Jake says they're in a slump with injuries and still playing 500, even if you count the overtime loss. Yeah, like I said at the beginning, we're within 2 points of third place. You know what I mean? I mean, when you just, it sounds impossible. Barkov, Kachuk, Nosip, Kulikov, Gadjevich. I still feel when I say that, I still feel like I'm missing somebody. You know what I mean? Just so many different locations that we're missing guys. Vincent says, why can't they hold the lead? Is this a disease? And Sabrango got the same amount of points in one game as Mikula through all the games. Well, we weren't able to hold leads last year too, remember? You know? Last year, how many times we had 1-0, 2-0 lead going in the second. We give up the lead. James says, I wonder if Maurice will keep Boquist on the top line and move Verhaeghe down. I suspect that that's probably going to stay that way, James. I don't see why not. It's wild because Bennett Verhaeghe sounds like the start to your top line. Like I cracked a joke yesterday about Sam Miskevich, you know, he's getting the raw deal. The third line is Sam Miskevich with whoever's not playing well. Remember, for a while it used to be Lundell, Luosterainen, and then whoever was on their wing was the guy that was slumping. Dr. Terrible says Panthers also won against Knight, Vladar, and Olmark. Right. Yeah, well, first 3 games, sure. Sabrango's leading the team at plus minus. Nice. Vincent says, through the eye test, the Panthers are the worst team in shot placement. They aren't trying to score. They're just throwing the puck in a general direction, and they rarely snipe it. Yeah, I mean, the deflection Reinhart got yesterday is really a prime example. Seth Jones had been missing the net with those bombs all night long. And so he finally was getting one. It was going to go directly in the middle of the net, from what I could tell. And then Reinhart with the perfect deflection. A couple of games before, Petrie throws it in on net. There's a rebound, and Bennett got his goal. So I think we're just making it too easy for the goalies all the way around. Chuckin says, way too much chasing, but Jones, Bennett, Swaggy all look frustrated every night. A little bit. We're leading the division in regulation wins. Is that we've got more regulation wins than the Canadians? Really? I mean, we're only two wins behind them. But we haven't. I think we only have one game that's not one win that's not a regulation, right? I think we won a shootout, I believe. Let me see. Because we lost, we beat the Stars in the shootout, and then we lost to the Ducks in the shootout, And yeah, that's it. We don't have any overtime wins. So that means 7 of our 8 wins are regulation. And then when I go to Montreal, because they got 10 wins. Let's see. They beat the Kraken in overtime. They beat the Flames in overtime. They beat the Predators in overtime. They beat the Kraken in overtime. So yeah, ain't that wild? That's actually a pretty good statistic there. Yeah, we actually lead the division in regulation wins. Yeah. Craig says the Cats are playing solidly. The results will come. Definitely looking decent now after a few stinkers. They certainly looking better. Definitely looking better. Hi, Deborah. Steven says also, I can't believe how bad Columbus fumbled their game last night. Yeah, last minute shorty. That's how you end up in last place, right? I mean, that's how you end up. Sabres with 14 points. But tonight, depending on the results tonight, Panthers can't end up in last place, which is good. So I guess we're going to root for Boston tonight to beat Toronto. I guess so. Is that what we're thinking? Deborah, the email, if you're asking for an email, it's flyingfluffyhockey@gmail.com. And if you're looking for the address, just email me at flyingfluffyhockey@gmail.com. And that way I can respond to you there. I appreciate that. Appreciate it. Colby says Bob is 8-4, Tarasov is 0-4. Well, yeah, but he says that team plays more conservative style, leading to less offense both ways. I mean, I think at this point that's not in question. I would agree with you there. I mean, Tarasov's goals against, friggin' hell. It's got to be good, right? He's got a 2.5 goals against and an 8.91. So he's just not seeing a lot of shots in his 4 games. He saw 20 shots against the Flyers, 33 against the Devils, then 17 against Anaheim and 22 against the Sharks. What more is he supposed to do? Your backup comes in, allows 2 goals. You got to win those games. Got to get points in those games, right? Dodger says, I feel like the Penguins lost because Bob had a horrible game. We were breaking through Jari, but every time we scored, the Penguins answered back. That is correct. Vincent says, had a random thought yesterday, $3 million problem. I just feel like Rodriguez has a substantial role in the locker room. What if Zito traded loose to Ryan and somehow makes sense in a backwards way? Well, at this point, Vincent, I would suspect that we wouldn't trade anybody, but that if when Barkov comes back for the playoffs, I would just, at this point, you just sit for Hagee. Because remember, the roster can be over. I would just sit for Hagee and play Rodriguez. Barkov, Rodriguez, Reinhart, Lundell, Luosterainen, Marchand, Bennett, Kachuk, Samoskevich. I would just sit for Hagee and problem solved. You know what I mean? James says, yeah. Hopefully Boston wins. It's one less team we have to jump if Toronto falls off of it. Yeah, no overtime. Thank you, Deborah. Steven says, plus if Boston wins, it makes for better dangle videos. That's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah. Yeah. It's just now getting to the point where on this channel, it used to be where the videos that got the most views were the ones where we lost. But what I've noticed now is that I don't know if it's YouTube pushing it more or whatever, but the longer the recap, the better it does. So I've been trying to make them, a little bit longer. It doesn't matter if we win or lose. The ones that are closer to 20 minutes, YouTube sends those to a lot more people than the ones that are like 12 minutes. Eduardo says, what does overtime merchants mean? Exactly. Hey, but if they're getting, at least they're getting those points. The Panthers have had trouble getting to overtime, right? Hey, Blue Shirts Nation. You finally won a game at home. Finally scored some goals at home, right? How long could it couldn't have stayed that bad for that long, right? Slumps suck, man. Especially early in the season, because you're trying to get a grasp on exactly what your team is. And if you start off in the first 15 games with a pretty bad slump, you can get a bad taste in your mouth, and that can gather a lot of momentum and ruin your season. So, the Rangers got, they're in it just like everybody else. What you guys got? 18 points. You got, you're tied for what's a playoff spot, right? 18 points is the last playoff spot. So look at it that way. You guys went through that hell of a period, and you came out of it basically still tied for a playoff spot in terms of points. So that's about the best you can ask for at this point. So, Vincent, you still think Barkov's going to come back post-Olympics? We already know it. The only way that can happen is if we trade somebody. Now, Luosterainen doesn't have a no trade. That would really put us in a position. Colin says they would probably trade Big J, Bo, and Petrie. It wouldn't be enough money. It wouldn't be enough money. Vincent says you just talk too much. People doze off and can't close the video. Hey, I don't care, Vincent. If it leads to watch time, I don't care, man. People do. Well, especially at 1:30. That'll happen to me, Vincent, when I'm editing the late games. Not so much this year, but last year when I'd be up editing the late game, I'd be editing the sound, and I would more than once I fell asleep editing the videos. Dark Fear says, even though the Avalanche is really good, yeah, you hoping the Ducks. Yeah, the Ducks. What do we got today for games? So today we got Kings, Canadians, Capitals, Hurricanes, Leafs, Bruins, Stars, Senators, Sharks, Wild, Flames, and Blues, the battle of last place. Ducks and Avalanche, Jets and Canucks, and then the Jackets and Kraken. That Ducks-Avalanche game, that's going to be a good game. No doubt. Doctor, yeah, the East, especially the Atlantic, is just super tight right now. Not much separation at all, for sure. Hey, Coot. The road trip ended up as could be expected in terms of wins and losses, yet it was the exact opposite of the results I anticipated. People in the organization really hate Vegas, huh? I wouldn't mind playing Vegas in the Stanley Cup Finals this year. If they could pull it together, we seem to have their number a little bit. We just got to keep Colasar the hell away from Marchand. Trish says, do you think we play Tarasov Thursday? No. Let me see here. I would suspect let's look at the schedule because we don't have a back-to-back for a while. It's a good question. Thursday, Saturday, Monday. Thursday, Saturday, Monday. And then Wednesday, Saturday. So we don't have any back-to-backs here for a while. So if you go by looking at this, well, let's work backwards. You're going to want to play Bobrovsky against the Oilers and probably against the Devils. I would suspect that if you wanted to even things out a little bit, you'd play Bob against the Capitals and Lightning, Tarasov against the Canucks, Bob against the Devils, Oilers, Tarasov against the Preds. If you wanted to play two games in one game, which is probably not the way they're going to do it. I wish they'd give Tarasov more starts. But I would suspect that the Eastern Conference games, you're probably going to get Bobrovsky since we're really in a tough spot now in the Eastern Conference. You're going to want to play Bob against the Devils and Oilers, and you're really going to want to play him against the Lightning and probably the Caps too. And then, we've got the Flames coming up. That could be a Tarasov game. We got the Preds twice. Maybe you could play Tarasov twice against the Preds. Sneak some of those games in there. But I don't think Thursday would be the one. Yeah, Blue Shirts. Hopefully the Rangers can start winning at home. Yeah. So, yeah, it's such a wild thing, man. Guys will get there. Colin says, just hard to figure out who to trade. To be honest, Erod's playing to stay on the team. Well, again, we don't. If Barkov doesn't come back to the playoffs, we don't have to trade anybody. To me, that's the best possible scenario. To me, that's the best thing. Unless, do we really? I know we're giving them Verhaeghe crap. All right, let's not pretend. I know we're giving Verhaeghe grief, but last year's playoffs, he played completely different than he did in the regular season. Last year in the regular season, his shot percentage was 8.3. His shot percentage in the playoffs was 13.5. He had 7 goals and 16 assists and was a plus 12 in 23 games. Even though in the regular season, he was a minus 14. So now, of course, some of that's going to be a result of better play all the way around. But it's, and hey, we just don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Not saying that I want somebody to get injured, but all it's going to take is one guy getting injured for the year and the cap situation is solved. I don't want it to be solved that way. Plus, now that Boquist is on the top line, 2/3 of the top line is the guys that we trade here every day. Vincent says, about that, on Puckpedia, Panthers should have about $1.6 million at the deadline. Can we figure out what is that number? Somehow trading Boquist should be enough to keep Erod. I think that's because. All right, hold on. Let's see. It's so hard to. All right. So right now it's saying we got about 1.5 at the deadline. But right now it's saying the LTIR pool that we have right now is $8,367,000. So that's 3.8 for Barkov, 3.8 for Tkachuk, and then they've got Nosek on LTIR. That's the other money that's counted there. What I need to do, Vincent, is just work at it backwards. And what I need to do, I won't do it here because I don't want to take up the whole stream to do it. But what I need to do is just add up the salaries of the guys, because I don't see how anything would have changed. And again, remember, it's the roster doesn't matter in the playoffs. It's just, see, because we've got they're showing 7 guys on defense, but Kulikov's money is still counting against us too. There's ways to do it. There's another way. There's another way to make that money work. Maybe if you, and I'm not suggesting this is the recommended way, but if you had a Petrie Sabrango bottom pair instead of a Kulikov Mikula bottom pair, that might be that $3 million too, if we got out our calculators. Hey, Silva. How would I feel about a 96 rematch against Colorado? No, thank you. I'm good. Nah, we'll have Vegas. We've beaten Vegas twice this year. Let's save the night. Let's save the Colorado rematch for another long time from now. Like when I'm dead, I got no interest in playing the Avs because it ain't gonna go a whole lot different. We ain't gonna go a whole lot different. Silva says that we were suddenly 100% healthy tomorrow with no cap concerns. What's my lines and pairs? Oh, with no cap issues? If there was no cap issue, Barkov, Reinhart, Rodriguez. Barkov, Reinhart, Rodriguez, Bennett, Kachuk, Samoskevich, Lundell, Luosterainen, Marchand, Nosek, Gadjevich, and Greer. And the bottom pair, I would probably make, it's tough. Kulikov, I want to say Sabrango, but I want to see more from him. If he continues to play the way he is, I might say Kulikov, Sabrango instead of Kulikov, Petrie. If everything was healthy and there was no cap issues right now, I would probably sit Verhaeghe. It just seems like, there's no question right now that Rodriguez is far better the player than Verhaeghe is right now. Vincent says, I thought we don't collect cap space through the season anymore, but we have space that says the same until the deadline. Vincent, me and you are just as confused. You know what I mean? Yeah, 4 back-to-backs in December. Vincent, what I'll do is I'm going to do a video where I work it backwards, where we just take the cap and then we just subtract each player's salary and make different game day lineups for the playoffs and then see what we get to. Coot says, I'd wager to say Tarasov plays 2 games the week of the 24th, softball group of teams that they can feel easy throwing them in there. It's not a bad idea. Who's drunk? Am I drunk? I wish. I'm going to be drunk a little bit later. I'm going to get my acupuncture treatment for this arm. Good Lord. I can't even sleep at night. I get 3 hours worth of sleep and I'll wake up with this pulsing nerve pain in my damn arm. Don't matter how I lay, too. Ruthless Sharky, since we won last game, hopefully the Sharks can beat the Wild tonight. Now you guys are doing well. Didn't we see that if the playoffs started, it's the Blackhawks that would be in the playoffs. Sharks aren't that far back, though. Guys got to be happy about that, being 1 point out of a playoff spot near Thanksgiving. Same record as the Oilers, basically. Eduardo says Kyle should keep wearing his plaid shirt and no cap for good luck. Frost says, call me crazy, but Boquist is the Erod insurance policy. Maybe. Hey, Lightning Girl. Oh, boy. IDK, we don't know exactly what it is, but from the sounds of his timeline, it sounds like he might have pulled a Barkov. Oh, yeah. Okay. James has got that. Yeah. Yeah. Nosek is out just as long. Yeah. Kenny says, Greer, multiple choice. A, dump the puck out. B, circle back with puck and try again. Or C, pass it to guy with no stick. I never seen it before. I mean, he had to literally turn around. And I mean, it was just a brain fart moment, right? You see the defenseman, and he's just giving it to the defenseman. And poor Sabrango is just like, you see, he tries to kick it. You're like, what am I supposed to do? At least it didn't cost us. But that was hysterical. You want the Jets to beat the Canucks so the Sharks can keep moving up? Yeah. Vincent says, I'm jumping all around with this. No one cares about playoff money. Our problem is $3 million play when Barkov returns in March. Well, if you're saying Barkov is coming back, you're gonna have to waive Balinskis, because if you're not going to get rid of Rodriguez, you got to find $3 million. You got to find $4.5 million somewhere. Remember, the $3 million number is just assuming that Boquist is not in the lineup, but he's on the roster. So if Barkov comes back before the playoffs, you've got to find $4.5 million. The $3 million problem is only if Barkov comes back just during the playoffs and you're not playing Boquist. If Barkov comes back during the season, that problem is $4.5 million. So Boquist is gone, and then you have $3 million of problems. You're going to have to waive Balinskis if you want to keep Sabrango. And that doesn't even count to the 4.5 or the $3 million that's left. Mikula doesn't give you enough, and you just signed him to a long-term deal. Now, he doesn't have a no-move clause, but you just don't have the money unless you're going to get rid of Rodriguez or Luosterainen. I just don't see that. Then you're talking about trading one of those guys for what, a month of Barkov before the season's over? Hey, yeah, Lightning Girl, 19th and 29th place. What happened? A few too many trips to the elbow room. We'll be okay. No, we haven't got married yet, Lightning Girl. We haven't got married yet. Silva, yeah, right now I wouldn't put Verhaeghe on the fourth line for sure. Chuckin says if Barkov's iffy by the trade deadline, Zito's going to have to make a big deal either way. Vincent says, I guess if they keep Nosek on LTIR the whole year and waive someone like Ubis or Gregor, that's usable cash. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. That's a good point. Yeah, you'd have to waive. You don't want to waive Sabrango because somebody's going to take him. Lightning Girl. Oh, I get it. No, I've been getting acupuncture for. I actually do my own acupuncture, but this is a back problem that I can't do it myself. When I was a massage therapist, I learned all the acupuncture points. I learned how to do it so I could do it on my clients separately. The way it was that I couldn't advertise for acupuncture because I wasn't a licensed acupuncturist. But because I was a massage therapist, I could use it. I could offer it as an add-on. But I can't get to this stuff on my back by myself. Yeah, Vincent, that's a good point we didn't think about, was keeping Nosek on LTIR. It's a good point. Yeah, I saw that, Mr. Krabs, with Jalen Phillips. Hey, Isles. Mr. Krabs thinks Barkov shouldn't come back. I don't think he's going to take that route, to be honest. There you go. Silva says, idea, Verhaeghe takes one for the team and throws his back out moving furniture for his wife. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Krabs. I'd rather not get rid of someone just for 1 month of Barkov. Kenneth says, if you waive Sabrango, does Ottawa pick him back up? Then waive him later and he could just play on both teams? Somebody would pick him back up for sure. For sure, now that he's looked so good, would give him some opportunity. Oh, you dislocated your shoulder, Sky. Yeah, that sucks. Vincent says, why? In the playoffs, E-Rod doesn't play either way. Question is whether or not we keep him as a scratcher, as a backup player. That's our reality. Rodriguez has no place in the playoff roster. I don't know, man, because Rodriguez is like the whole depth piece. He may not be on the starting roster, but if anybody gets hurt, you plug in Rodriguez and you have an automatic good replacement. To me, I don't think there's much worth getting rid of him at this point. You could waive Petrie, but it's so much. But you know what? The thing of it is that now, yeah, Kachucking around says Roddy is great, but if you have to sit a $7 million player, we got bigger problems. Right. Well, all we know is, like we said, if somebody else gets hurt, the whole problem goes away. You know, I don't think moving Luosterainen would be the right thing. I think Marchand would be awfully pissed. You know what I mean? Saying that sarcastically, but you get my point. But yeah, if you keep Nosek on LTIR, that's going to give you get his full salary, which is what, $1,775,000. Now, I mean, because you got to have depth. I mean, are you going to go into the playoffs with? Remember, Gadjevich and Greer have contracts. No, Greer doesn't. Greer is a UFA next year. Gadjevich is extended. But if you went into, it doesn't save you any money. Like, in fact, Schwint makes more money than Nosek. So even going Schwint with Greer and Gadjevich, that doesn't help anything. Sam Miskevich took a pay cut. Boy, when's he going to get paid? To me, right now, the way everybody's playing, to me, the move is if Barkov come back for the playoffs, you just sit for Hagee and put Rodriguez in his spot. What the hell just happened? I just lost my whole comment section. Here we go. Vincent says the conversation is exclusively about cap space, not performance. If it's about cap space, then it's Rodriguez or Luosterainen. Because you subtracted Nosek, but you've added Schwint to the roster. So that's wiped itself out. So if you move Boquist, you still have $3 million. If you move Verhaeghe, you can keep Rodriguez and Bo. You can keep everybody else if they find a way to trade Verhaeghe. But if you're just looking at it by the mathematical numbers, it's Rodriguez, Luosterainen, or if you could find enough money, if you were going to move Mikkola, right? If you were going to move Mikkola, if you were going to put Kulikov on that second pair and go Jones-Kulikov, if you moved Mikkola and got rid of Boquist and waived Balinskis, you might be able to do it. You'd have to go. You'd end up depleting the depth, but you'd have Rodriguez as depth on your forward group. But right now, there's guys you're going to have to move on from. Like we got 14 forwards right now because no 6 on LTIR. So there's other ways to do it, but there's no real good answer. Hey, Fatality. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing Spencer Knight in the playoffs. Keep that up for him, man. Yeah, exactly, Colin. Cats are just stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's the way. Vincent says, our dot in time is in the month of March. Boquist plus Wave Uvis plus what the hell is this 1.5 million at the deadline? We need a degree to figure out the mess. Well, yeah, because you only get, you don't get the full Kachucks and the full Barkov's money. It's and the websites, it's so confusing now because there's projected cap space of negative 6,900,000, and there's the current cap space. Then the deadline space is 1.5 million, but then projected playoff cap space is 17 million. But that's because they've got Barkov and Kachuk on LTIR. Is there a general manager mode where you can move guys around? GM mode. Do I have to pay? No, I'll have to putz around with this. We'll have to putz around with that at some point. Because it is very confusing for sure. Hey, Patel, I wish the NHL would be like the NFL and just moving salary as a signing bonus. Yeah, in football, a guy signs a contract, it don't mean nothing. You can sign a guy to whatever you want, and 2 years later, rip it up, redo it, give him a signing bonus, and you just keep moving that money around. It's a giant shell game. Midnight Solar. Well, I don't know what that was in Columbus last night, man. Krabs, we got to get Tarasov a win for sure. Hey, Undead. Well, you can't trade Nosek. I don't believe that you can trade a guy when he's on. I guess you can. Maybe it's football. You can't trade a guy that's injured. You could move Nosek, but then you're just going with Schwint. And I think that's why they're giving Schwint such a good look right now, because we're not going to be able to keep both. You know what I mean? It's going to go backwards. But if Vincent is correct, he seems to think Barkov is going to come back for the regular season. I just don't see the benefit of it. I just don't. I would be shocked, but if they did, they're going to have to move guys. Yeah, Nosik's salary is Nosek is at $775. Schwint actually makes more. He makes $8.25. Cunnin $775. Gregor $775. Gadjevich $775. Samiskevich $775. So moving Nosek to play Schwint, you actually lose money. And you have to have enough guys to field the team. So you can't go. I mean, I guess you could go 13-5, right? But it ain't gonna make any sense. We don't have. I guess Belinskas could play forward and defense in the same game. I don't know. Kachuk says, if we move a bunch of players around to fit Barkov back in the lineup, then don't make the playoffs or lose in the first round. It's just not worth it. Yeah. The only thing that matters this year is winning that third cup. That's all that matters. Every move we make has to be with that in mind. Now, I understand you got to make the playoffs to win the third cup. So, and you know what's going to happen is Zito already knows exactly what he's going to do. And most likely when it happens, we're all going to go, oh, I didn't think about that. That's my guess on 11/11 at 12:48 in the afternoon is that when Zito makes the move, we're going to all say, "Oh, I didn't realize that was an option." That would be my guess. Vincent says the benefit is to get in the playoffs. You surely looked at the standings today, right? This thing will probably go on to the end, and he's working hard to rehab because we need him bad. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you in terms of do I think he can get himself ready to come back? Yeah, absolutely. I know what the recovery time is and all of that, but in terms of do I think Barkov could pull that off? 100%. The cap implications are just crazy right now. So unless another thing could happen, right? Like as soon as they realize Barkov is like 2 weeks away, Rodriguez could have a non-contact injury and be on LTIR for the rest of the regular season. I mean, there's that possibility too, right? Rodriguez could my back. And be done with it. You know what I mean? Patel says Barkov should find out what Adrian Peterson did to get back into playing shape 6 months after the ACL surgery. Yeah, right? Wasn't that wild? Yeah. Mike says, I don't think you throw the season away because Barkov isn't here. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I understand. Look, I understand all the different angles to it. There's no easy decisions here. When you have these kinds of problems and situations, there's no answer that you're like, okay, I want to do that. You know what I mean? Whether you're moving a guy or sitting a guy, it's all things that you'd rather not do. Kenneth says, yeah. So when he says, "Oh, my back," yeah, exactly, exactly. That would be my guess. Or like Kachukin says, Swaggy could tear an ACL. Not in real life. We wouldn't want him to tear an ACL. What we need is somebody to get hurt that's making $3 million or more that's going to be out for the rest of the regular season. So we don't have to trade guys away. And then we figure out who sits during the playoffs anyway. James says Erod is known for diving. He could definitely fake it. Yeah, he's very demonstrative, right? Vincent. Yeah, it's yeah. Don't give him any ideas, right? Hey, big dog. James says, isn't our first runner top 10 protected? Well, we couldn't. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we're not going to tank that way anyway. But hey, Capitals fan. Well, the Hurricanes are not a bad team. Just get some points. Kachukin says, all right, I read it NHL tomorrow with a screenshot of this chat. I'm just making stuff up. Those guys hate me anyway, so they'll assume that because I said it, it won't happen anyway. You know what I mean? But it'll all work out. I mean, I'd love to see Barkov back for sure. I just, I would have liked to have been a fly in the room when Zito got the call that they told him, hey, the LTIR rules are going to be this year instead of next year. Because we clearly didn't plan for this, I don't think. We clearly didn't, I just wonder what we would have done differently. would they have signed I guess I answered my own question. I was going to say, would they have signed Martian if they knew it was going to work this way? Probably, but they might have moved Rodriguez during the offseason. Habs says, do I agree the Bruins played us Habs in the playoffs? It would not go well for them. Absolutely agree. Yes, totally agree. Especially the way Dobish is playing. Colin says, on one hand, the easy answer is trading Erod and keeping the depth. On the other hand, trade the depth and keep the guys together. There just has to be another way. Yeah, somebody's got to get, injured. Can we trade someone temporarily? Probably not. It sounds like it would be fun and make too much sense. Probably not. That was my idea about Crosby before the Penguins decided they were going to be good this year, was to just have the Penguins trade us Crosby for this year and win the cup, and then he go back next year when we have Barkov back. But Vincent says Barkov's going to be back next week. So we'll figure it out. I mean, right now, the way I'm looking at it, right now, are you going to tell Maurice, hey, you got to go play Verhaeghe because we're trading Rodriguez? Like, if Maurice has any say-so, he's probably telling, hey, we got to treat – Rodriguez is – without Martian and Rodriguez, where are we going to be right now? At least he still has some energy out there. Nearmax says, we don't have to trade anybody, just watch. Well – if you think we won't have to trade anybody if Barkov does come back during the regular season, somebody else would have to be dinged, right? Vincent says, but we know this story. They would have traded Erod in the summer, but for Tkachuk. They would have traded Erod in December, but for Barkov. It's all Erod's doing. He wants to stay. I can't blame him, right? He's in the perfect position. He loves it here. He's got a style of play that fits what we do. Kenneth says, don't send Erod to the Habs. No, we would send Erod far, far away. Like St. Louis. Yeah, far away. Sorry, Erod, but we won't want any chance of having to go up against you anytime soon. So maybe Nashville, so the weather's a little bit nicer for you guys, right? If you want to go to Calgary and say hi to Johnny and Weir, that's okay too. But definitely not trading him to anybody good. Vincent says the Mammoth. Erod's been showing out. He doesn't want to get traded. That's the truth of it. I wish somebody would ask Carter Verhaeghe what the hell happened to him. I know it's never going to happen, but that we had a chance last year. We could have moved Verhaeghe before the playoffs when he still didn't have the no move clause and he was struggling. Kenneth says Erod started hiring people to give out non-serious injuries. Deadly Flames already predicted the Blues would win against the Flames. Maybe. Who's in last place? Is it tied? Flames are 10 points. God almighty. It's so bad. How do you only have 10 points in 17 games? The Blues aren't much better. But good Lord, 11 losses. God. What the hell happened to Calgary? What the hell happened? So, all right, I got to get ready to go. I got to run out a little bit early because it's like a 40-minute drive. It's like a 40-minute drive to the acupuncture, and I am just ready. I am just ready so I can stop having to stretch my back out all over the place. I'm gonna be snoring on that table today. So keep an eye on the community posts. We're gonna have some kind of different content coming tomorrow, and then we'll be back. I'll still be here at noon tomorrow for sure. Ken says you can be one of the best players on a team and be trade bait. Oh, yeah, I know. But like I said, Kenneth, I kind of feel like, and this is just in my imagination, But I kind of feel like maybe before the season, when they found out about the LTIR thing, in my world, they went to Rodriguez and said, we can trade you now, or you could take the chance that maybe you could stay. Maybe we might have to trade you later. And he chose to just stay and take the chance. That would be my guess. So, and now we can't trade Boquist anyway. He's on the top line. Both these guys are on the top line. How the hell are we going to? It's wild, man. But I agree with Maurice. I agree that he did the right thing making that move. Verhaeghe is just, you think Bennett is a ghost. At least Bennett is a somewhat noticeable ghost. Verhaeghe is an absolute. In fact, sit Verhaeghe. Bring up Devine. Let somebody else play. Honestly. Put Greer in Verhaeghe's spot and put somebody else in the fourth line. Yeah. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I shall see you mañana. And I'll feel better. I won't be so crabby.